The ancient teachers didn't speak much about control, but they spoke endlessly about suffering. And if you look closely at where most suffering lives, you'll find the same thing every time. A hand that won't open, gripping a past that's gone, gripping a future that hasn't arrived, gripping an identity, a routine that life has quietly outgrown. We grip because we were never taught that peace could come from releasing rather than holding, that the bravest thing a person can do, especially in the later years of life, is simply let go. Welcome to Mindfulness. Today we're sitting with 7 Buddhist lessons on surrender, on releasing the need to control, and on what becomes possible when you finally trust life enough to stop fighting it. This reflection is for you, all of you, exactly as you are. 1. Control is an illusion we were never meant to carry. There's a story of a farmer in ancient China who woke each morning before sunrise, walked to the edge of his field and worried. He worried about the rain. He worried about the harvest. He worried about the wind, the soil, the seasons. He tended his crops with great care, but he also tended his worry with equal dedication. And one autumn, despite everything, the harvest failed. Not because he didn't try hard enough, but because the rain simply didn't come. The farmer had confused effort with control, and many of us have done the same. We were taught early that if we worked hard enough, planned carefully enough, loved fiercely enough, things would turn out the way we hoped. And for many years, that felt true. Structure held, routines worked, willpower carried us through. But life, as it tends to do, eventually reveals a different truth. The Buddhist teaching of impermanence, what the tradition calls anicca, tells us plainly that nothing in the material world is fixed. Not health, not relationships, not circumstances, not even the thoughts that feel so permanent inside our minds. This isn't a pessimistic view. It's actually one of the most liberating truths ever spoken. Because if nothing is fixed, then our white-knuckled grip on outcomes is not protecting us. It's exhausting us. Think about the last time you felt truly anxious, truly wound tight with worry. Chances are, at the center of that feeling was a story that said, if I just control this one thing, I'll be safe. But safety built on control is like a house built on sand. It requires constant maintenance, constant vigilance, and it never quite feels finished. Here's what the Buddha understood that most of us spend decades learning. The feeling of control is not the same as actual safety. Real peace doesn't come from managing outcomes. It comes from trusting the process of life itself. You are not a machine responsible for making everything run. You are a human being, alive in a world that was never fully yours to manage. And the moment you begin to release that impossible job, something extraordinary happens. The shoulders drop, the breath deepens, the mind, for the first time in a long time, goes quiet. Control was never the answer. Surrender, the wise and conscious kind, always was. 2. The river doesn't fight its banks. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a river, not a raging torrent, but a steady, patient, ancient river, moving through valleys and forests, bending around stone, carving slowly through rock. It doesn't argue with the landscape. It doesn't resist the curve ahead. It simply moves, trusting that the path will reveal itself. Now imagine trying to make that river flow backward. That is what we do when we refuse to accept where life has brought us. In Buddhist thought, there is a concept called Wu Wei, sometimes borrowed from the Taoist tradition, but deeply honored in contemplative Buddhism as well. It means effortless action, or more simply, not forcing. It's the art of moving with life rather than against it. And for those of us in the later chapters, this teaching arrives with particular grace. Because so much of aging involves things we didn't choose, a body that moves differently than it used to, friends and partners who are no longer here, roles that once defined us, parent, provider, professional, quietly shifting into something less certain. When we fight these changes, insisting that things should be otherwise, we create what the Buddha called dukkha, a word often translated as suffering, but more precisely meaning friction. The friction between how things are and how we demand them to be. But when we move like the river, bending with what comes, something remarkable shifts. The friction dissolves. This doesn't mean passivity. A river is one of the most powerful forces in nature. It reshapes mountains over time. Moving with life doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. Consider what you've already adapted to in your lifetime. The losses, the transitions, the moments when everything changed and you found a way forward anyway. That wasn't weakness, that was water wisdom. The banks of your life may look different now than they once did, but the river is still moving. You are still moving. Today, gently ask yourself, where am I pushing against the current? And what might happen if just for today I let myself float? 3. Releasing the stories we tell about ourselves. Of all the things we hold tightly in this life, perhaps none are gripped more firmly than the stories we tell about who we are. I am someone who handles things. I am the strong one. I have always been independent. I don't ask for help. These narratives served us once. They helped us survive, to build, to protect. But over time, they can harden from descriptions into prisons. The Buddhist teacher Ajahn Chah once spoke of the mind like a still forest pool. When we are identified with our stories, with our roles and our labels, it's as though we've thrown stones into that pool constantly, never allowing it to settle. But beneath the disturbance, beneath the ripples of who we think we are, there is always stillness, always clarity. In Buddhism, this is touched upon through the teaching of anatta, or non-self. Not the idea that you don't exist, but that the fixed, rigid self you've been defending so carefully is not as solid as it appears. You are not only the person who raised children, built a career, survived hardships, and wore a particular identity for decades. You are also the awareness behind all of that, vast, quiet, unchanging. And when you begin to loosen your grip on the old story, something tender and new becomes possible. Think of a woman who spent 40 years as a caregiver, a mother, a nurse, a neighbor who always had answers. And then, one day, life asked her to receive care instead of give it. The story she had told about herself, the strong, capable, self-sufficient woman, suddenly didn't fit anymore. The grief of that is real, and it deserves to be honored. But on the other side of that grief is a freedom she had never known. When she no longer had to be the story, she could simply be herself. Present, breathing, no longer performing strength, just resting in it. What story have you been carrying that no longer fits? You don't have to throw it away. Just hold it more loosely. Let it be part of your history without letting it be the whole of your identity. Because beneath every story is the one who lived it. And that one, that quiet awareness, has never needed a label to be whole. 4. The grace of receiving. For so many people, especially those who grew up believing that strength meant self-sufficiency. Receiving help feels like surrender in the wrong direction. It feels like loss, like smallness. But in Buddhist wisdom, the ability to receive gracefully is considered a profound spiritual practice, one that takes far more courage than most people realize. There's a teaching about two hands, one open, giving freely, the other open, receiving fully. True balance, true wholeness, requires both. Yet so many of us have spent a lifetime with one hand open and one hand clenched. Think about what it costs to refuse help. The quiet exhaustion of insisting you're fine when you're not. The loneliness of turning away connection because accepting it feels like admitting weakness. The slow erosion of spirit that comes from carrying everything alone, not because you have to, but because you've forgotten there's another way. Receiving is not weakness, it is trust. It is the acknowledgement that life was never meant to be navigated in isolation. The Pali word metta, often translated as loving kindness, flows in two directions always. Toward others, yes, but just as importantly, toward ourselves. And part of loving ourselves is allowing others to love us back. There is a man I want you to imagine. A retired school teacher, 78 years old, fiercely proud of his independence. He drove himself to every appointment, carried his own groceries, declined every offer of help with a polite but firm, "I'm fine, thank you." Until the morning he wasn't fine, and someone was there, and he let them help. He said later it was one of the most humbling and healing moments of his life. Not because he needed rescuing, but because he finally let someone in. That opening, that willingness to be helped, to be seen in a moment of need, didn't diminish him. It connected him. And connection, real human warmth, is one of the greatest medicines available to us. So today, if someone offers to help, try simply saying yes. Not because you can't manage, but because allowing love to flow toward you is its own kind of wisdom, its own quiet surrender. And in that surrender, you may find something unexpected, not weakness, but belonging. 5. Sitting with uncertainty without being consumed by it. If there is one thing that the need for control is really protecting us from, it's this: uncertainty. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know how our health will shift, how long we have, whether the people we love will be okay. And the mind, clever and ancient as it is, tells us that if we just plan enough, worry enough, and prepare enough, we can make the unknown known. But we can't. And deep down, we already know this. The Buddhist response to uncertainty isn't false reassurance. It isn't telling you that everything will be fine. It's something far more honest and far more useful. It's teaching you to be comfortable in the not knowing. The Zen tradition has a beautiful phrase for this: don't know mind. It's a state of openness, of being fully present without demanding that life hand over its secrets in advance. Think of how a child moves through the world, not because they're naive, but because they haven't yet been taught to fear what hasn't happened yet. They are absorbed in what is, the texture of grass, the color of sky, the warmth of a familiar hand. Somewhere along the way, most of us traded that open presence for a vigilance that never really kept us safe. It only kept us tired. A gentle practice from the Theravada tradition invites us to simply sit with what is unresolved, to breathe in the presence of an unanswered question without immediately reaching for an answer, to say quietly and honestly, "I don't know," and that is okay. Say it with me now. I don't know what comes next, and I can still be at peace. That sentence isn't defeat. It's one of the bravest things a human being can say. Uncertainty is not a problem to be solved. It is the very nature of being alive. And when we stop fighting it, stop demanding that life offer guarantees it was never designed to give, something opens. A spaciousness, a quiet trust. Not in a specific outcome, but in our own ability to meet whatever comes with grace. You have already met so much, and you're still here, still breathing, still capable of this moment. That is not a small thing. That is everything. 6. Forgiveness as the ultimate release of control. There is one place where the need to control hides so quietly, so deeply, that many people never think to look for it there. And that place is the past. When we refuse to forgive, whether others or ourselves, we are attempting something impossible. We are trying to control what has already happened, to rewrite through our anger or our guilt a chapter that has already been lived. And it is exhausting work. The Buddha described holding on to resentment as drinking poison and waiting for the other person to suffer. But the teaching goes even deeper than that familiar wisdom. Because it isn't just resentment of others that binds us, it's the resentment we carry toward ourselves. The regrets, the decisions we'd unmake if we could, the moments we handled poorly, the words we said or didn't say, the love we withheld when we should have given it freely. These memories can become a second life we live in parallel, constantly revisiting what went wrong, as though the revisiting itself might somehow fix it. But it doesn't fix it. It only keeps us from fully inhabiting the life we still have. Forgiveness, in the Buddhist sense, is not about pretending harm didn't occur. It's not about excusing what was inexcusable. It is about making a quiet, courageous decision to put down the weight, to stop letting the past have dominion over the present. The Pali word for this release is upekkha, equanimity, the ability to see clearly, to feel fully, and yet not be swept away, to hold the pain of the past with a steady, open hand rather than a clenched fist. One very simple practice. Place your hand on your heart, close your eyes and say, I carried that for a long time. I don't need to carry it anymore. You may need to say it many times before it begins to feel true. That's okay. Say it anyway, because the mind follows the direction of the heart's intention, even when the heart feels unsure. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to the person who hurt you. It is a gift you give to the rest of your own life. And you have enough life left, however much that is, to live it without that weight. Let it go. Not all at once, but slowly, gently, the way winter releases into spring, one quiet day at a time. 7. The practice of dying before you die. This is the lesson that holds all the others together, and I want you to stay with me here, because while the title may seem startling, the teaching inside it is one of the most tender and life-affirming gifts that Buddhist wisdom has to offer. There is an old Sufi saying that the mystics of many traditions have echoed, "Die before you die and discover there is no death." The Buddha pointed to this same truth through the practice of Maranasati, the mindfulness of mortality, not as a morbid dwelling on the end, but as a profound invitation to live fully now. Because here is what happens when we truly, honestly sit with the fact that our time here is finite, The unnecessary falls away. The grudges that felt so important. The pride that kept us from reaching out. The performance of strength that cost us so much connection. The desperate clinging to an identity that was always just a role, never the whole self. All of it, in the light of genuine mortality awareness, begins to loosen. What remains is what matters, and what matters always is love. Presence, the warmth of a hand held, the beauty of an ordinary morning, the simple, extraordinary miracle of being here at all. Dying before you die doesn't mean resignation, it means arriving. It means choosing to be fully present in the life you have, rather than spending that life in the waiting room of some better version you're trying to control into existence. Think of what you would do differently if you truly knew in your bones that each day was a complete gift and not a given. How much more gently would you speak? How much more freely would you forgive? How much more willingly would you let go of the things that, in the end, were never really yours? This is the invitation that aging carries within it. It is not punishment. It is initiation. The older we grow, the more life strips away what was never essential. And rather than mourning that stripping, Buddhist wisdom invites us to see it as a becoming, a returning to something simpler, cleaner, and truer. A tree in winter doesn't mourn its leaves. It conserves its energy for what is essential. It trusts the season. It rests in its own roots. And one day, spring comes not because the tree forced it, but because the tree simply waited, open and patient and alive. You are that tree, rooted in decades of living, still standing, still capable of something new. So let this be your practice today. Sit quietly, breathe slowly, and ask yourself honestly, if I released the need to control what comes next, what would I do with the time I already have? The answer to that question is not somewhere in the future you're trying to manage. It's right here, in this breath, in this moment, waiting for you to finally stop holding on. And when you do, you will find what so many have found before you, that the peace you've been searching for was never on the other side of control. It was always waiting inside surrender. You've carried so much for so long, and you've done it with more grace than you probably give yourself credit for. But perhaps the wisest thing you can do now, in this season of your life, is to gently, slowly put some of it down. Not because you've failed, but because you've earned the rest. Surrender isn't the end of strength. It's where strength finally comes to rest. If something in these words touched you today, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you'd like more reflections like this one, rooted in ancient wisdom and spoken straight to the heart, stay with us. You are always welcome here.